Hi, in this video I want to have a look at the 12-bar blues shuffle. The 12-bar blues shuffle is a musical sequence that's been used in blues music for a number of years. You can see it from music from decades ago such as Elmore James, or in relatively more recent electrified blues music such as Stevie Ray Vaughan or something like that. So it really has been a standard in blues music for a long time. The 12-bar blues shuffle basically has two components. The first part is it's the 12-bar blues sequence, which we've covered in previous videos, and that's basically the chord progression that this music follows. And on top of this is the shuffle pattern that's played that gives it that distinctive sound. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to break all this down. We're going to have a look at the 12-bar blues sequence briefly, and the chord structure that underlies it. We're going to have a look at the shuffle pattern and how to play it, and then we're going to have a look at how to play the 12-bar blues shuffle in a variety of different tunings on the guitar, because a lot of blues music is played in alternate tunings. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the 12-bar shuffle, and I'm going to do that on this guitar, which is a standard tune guitar. Okay, that was the standard 12-bar blues sequence played on a standard tune guitar in the key of E. Now what I want to do is break that down and have a look at the components that make it up. First, what I want to do is have a look at the chord structure. The 12-bar blues sequence uses 3 chords, and they're scale degrees 1, 4 and 5. In the case of playing it in the key of E, scale degree 1 is E, scale degree 4 is A, and scale degree 5 is B. And they're the 3 chords that make it up for the key of E. No matter what key you're playing it in, it'll always still be scale degrees 1, 4 and 5, so you just adjust it to suit whatever your root chord is in the key you're playing it in. So if you're playing it in C, for instance, in the key of C, you would have C would be your root chord or function number 1, number 4 would be F, and number 5 would be G. How these are put together in a 12-bar blues sequence, there are variations, but the most common pattern for doing it to fill up the 12 bars is 4 bars of the root, in this case E, 2 bars a scale degree 4, which in this case is A, another 2 bars of E, 1 bar of B, which is scale degree 5, 1 bar of A again, and then another 2 bars of E. And that's shown in the table just on the screen. And this is the standard chord sequence for a 12-bar blues pattern. And this is the one you're most likely to follow. Like I said, there can be variations on it, but we'll just stick to that one for this video. Okay, we've had a look at the chords that make up a standard 12-bar sequence. Now I want to have a look at the individual notes that are played during it. Although you could just play the chords straight like this within a 12-bar sequence, if you're wanting to get that shuffle feel, you have to add an additional note in. For the sequence I just played, the chords that I'm using are 5th chords, so I'm only actually playing 2 strings like that, which is the root note and the 5th note. And in the case of E, that is E and B like that. And you could play that just as part of the sequence like so. But to give it that sound, that unique sound that you hear through this sequence, what you have to do is you have to add a 6th note into that chord structure. So if we take E for instance, if we're playing the E5 chord like that, what we want to do is add in a sixth note, which is C sharp, which is fret 4 on the A string, like this. So it's for the E chord, what I'm doing is, for the E itself, I'm playing the bottom E string open, the A string on fret 2, and then I'm moving up to the 4th fret on the A string to get that C sharp, like so. And that same pattern is just repeated for whatever chord you're using. So again, if we take the E-A-B sequence for the key of E, I've shown you what E is. For A, you would move up here, so you would get A on the 5th string of the E, the 5th fret of the E string here. You would then get E here on the 7th fret of the A string, and you would be moving up to the 9th fret of the A string here to get an F sharp. And then again for B, all you're doing is moving this pattern up another 2 frets. So you have the B note on the 7th fret of the E string, the F sharp note on the 9th fret of the A string, and you're moving up to the 11th fret of the A string to get a G sharp. Like so. And that is the standard notes that are used in the shuffle sequence. Depending on what key it is will depend on the underlying chords, and that will depend on the underlying notes that are played, obviously, but it's always going to be 1, 5 and 6 notes of that chord. And this shape that you see me using here can be moved around on the lower E string and the A string to give you all the chords you need. So you can have it on, say, the A string here. And this is a standard shape and pattern that's used not only in blues music but also in rock and roll and things like that. Okay, we've had a look at the chords and the notes that make up the standard 12-bar sequence, and now what I want to have a look at is the note structure or phrasing, how to get that shuffle sound. When playing these notes, they're not played as straight notes, like straight 8s like this. You'll hear it played like that in things like rock and roll music or bands like Status Quo and that use it quite often. But in blues music, it's not played like this usually, and the notes get split up to give it that bouncy feel that you're used to hearing. So this is sort of called a triplet feel, and what it is taking a triplet and splitting it up. There's a link to another video of mine to show you how to do this. But essentially, instead of playing the straight notes, what you're doing is you're playing them slightly different timings to give it that specific bouncy feel. So so we've got straight notes like this, and when we're playing it in blues, it's like so. And by incorporating that, it adds a slightly more variety to the music, it gives it more interest, and it gives it that distinctive bluesy sound that you're used to hearing. Like I said, there's a separate video I've done that goes into more depth on this triplet feel style of music, and you can watch that if you want a more in-depth look at it. But probably the easiest way to do it is just to learn the pattern by ear and just mimic it. Like so, and it's not too difficult to do, but that is the standard pattern you're likely to hear in blues music. And when you put together the chord structure, the notes that are used, and this shuffle pattern, what you get is the standard 12-bar blues shuffle pattern that you hear in so many pieces of music. So that's really a brief overview of the structure of a 12-bar blues shuffle. And I've shown you it played in the key of E in an open tune guitar, in a standard tune guitar. You can play it in a lot of different keys on a standard tune guitar. You just vary the root chord that you're playing in and the key that you're playing in. What I want to do now is just run through it played in some of the alternate tunings. I want to have a look at the 12-bar blues shuffle in some different tunings. I'm going to show you it in standard tune. I'm also going to show you in a few of the most commonly used alternate tunings. It's often played in a guitar that isn't standard tune because it often makes it easier to play. And you'll see this when I go through the different sequences. When playing in a standard tune guitar, what you end up with is having to do quite a long stretch when you move up the neck with your pinky, like so. Like that, and that people can find that a bit awkward. I mean, you get used to it if you're playing it all the time, but when you put it into some of the alternate tunings, and most of the commonly used alternate tunings, it actually becomes easier to play. And I'll show you this. What I'll do is I'll take the bottom E string on this guitar and drop it down to D, and I'll play it in drop D tuning. Okay, that's it dropped down to D. So instead of having to do the stretch, what you get is you just have to bar across two strings. So if you're playing the open position, you can play both strings open like that, and then go up to the second fret on the A string. And if you're playing further up the neck, what all you have to do is bar, say, the bottom two strings on fret 5, and then just move up to the 7th fret like this. So in a lot of the alternate tunings, it is actually easier to play this blues shuffle, and that's why you'll see a lot of these pieces of music in guitars that are tuned to alternate tunings, or just slightly off standard tunings like drop D, like I've shown you here. So what I'll do is I'll just run through the standard blues shuffle in different alternate tunings. I'll show you which key it's getting played in, and there'll be tab on the screen.